Our project began with individual metaphor studies, which we later combined into one unified concept. At first, the group explored the metaphor of balance, flow, and turn into proportion. Through continuous sketching and revisions, the idea evolved and transformed into the final concept, vision. Our design now focuses on clarity and proportion. Each member explored different metaphors, forms, spatial ideas, but we found common themes: harmony, contrast, movement, and guided perspective. We synthesized this into a cohesive concept by combining everyone's interpretations. This led us from the literal idea to more abstract, experiential metaphor vision, which shaped the final structure. So, why this metaphor? Vision because it represents the clarity, direction, and perception. It symbolizes how architecture can guide how people see and experience space. The circular openings and flowing massing express the idea of focusing, framing views, and seeing beyond the ordinary. What emotions or spatial qualities that does it aim to evoke? The design aims to evoke curiosity, calmness, freedom, playfulness, and a sense of discovery. The form encouraged people to move, look around, and experience different perspectives. How the concept changed from our previous design. Our old model used the metaphor lily on the pad, chosen because it reflected nature and suited a garden pavilion. It was more focused on the literal form of an object. As we progressed, the project shifted from object-based metaphors to concept-based metaphors, which led us to our new idea. Vision represents perception, clarity, and how users experience and interpret space. This evolution transformed our design from a decorative, nature-inspired from into a more abstract and meaningful concept centered on perspective.
Orientation decision. Primary facade and views. In the model, the large glazed opening are the dominant facade. Entry orientation. The ramp and approach are clearly articulated. Place the entrance towards the shelter accessible side, away from the prevailing heavy rain or wind, and toward the pedestrian approach line on site. Sun path for the daylight. Deep overhangs and slated roof acts as passive shading devices that block high noon sun while admitting lower angled ambient light. Large circular windows, if glazed with diffusing glass or fritting, they emit even soft daylight rather than harsh direct beams. Translucent interior panels suggest controlled privacy and daylighting. Wind and ventilation. Perforation and multiple openings allows cross ventilation. The combination of lower openings and the higher openings enables cross drafts and a stack effect. Raised floor. Let air pass beneath the building, which helps cool the floor slab and reduces humidity at the base. Balcony and open railings provide ventilated buffer zones for interior spaces, tempering winds and providing shaded outdoor living. Material choices and their real equivalent and reasons. The model materials: cardboard, the facade, thin wood strips for the roof, and thin dowels for the columns. Sticks, basically. Real-world equivalents. Cardboard is the insulated timber frame, lightweight concrete, and filled with curved forms, represent lightweight and easily shaped cladding. The wood strips are basically the timber, or you can use metal for the with batten for ventilated roof. The thin post, you can use steel to support for cantilevers and raised elements. The translucent panels, you can use frosted glazing or polycarbonate or brise soleils screens to admit diffuse light while reducing heat gain. Why these choices? Timber and steel allow curved, cantilevered forms with manageable weight. Translucent materials reduce the need for electric lighting. Overhangs and natural materials lower the heat gain and embodied energy. Structural and environmental logic. Load, paths, and support strategy. Raised plank and columns. Lightweight roof and overhangs. Passive cooling logic and rain management and sustainability opportunities. How the model parts are implemented. The science. Large circular windows plus translucent panels. Daylighting strategy with controlled solar gain. Roof overhangs and layered slats, passive solar shading, and rain protection. Perforated facade plus lower openings equals cross ventilation and stack effect. Raised platforms, flood resilience, underfloor ventilation, and cooler floor temperatures. Diagonal strut and vertical posts imply a structural system for cantilevers and load transfer.
Our new model is very different from our previous Lily-inspired pavilion. The old design focused on symbolism and calmness, using petal shapes and a light floating form. In contrast, the new structure is more architectural and sculptural, with biomorphic curves, circular openings, and elevated spaces, supported by visible ribs and stilts. It also includes functional interior areas and a balcony, unlike the open pavilion we made before. Artistically, we shifted from soft, nature-like petals to a stronger, more dramatic expression where the structure itself becomes part of the design. We chose natural materials and textures instead of painted surfaces, creating a heavier and more dynamic look. Scientifically and environmentally, the new model improves ventilation, shading, and structural stability. The large openings, raised flooring, and overhangs help airflow and sun protection, while the triangular supports make the cantilever more realistic. The landscaping and pathways also interact better with the site. Overall, we learned that balancing art and science creates stronger architecture. A design becomes meaningful when creativity and environmental logic work together.